Hello, I'm here with Seth Kaplan, Vice President of Information Technology at a large real estate firm. Seth, I'm so happy to have you here. Thank you for being here.
Thanks for having me.
Yes, Seth, you have gone through the foundational piece of the Resilient Transformation Program. You're now in the advanced course of the Resilient Transformation Program, and you've had such an incredible transformation in working with you. It's been really wonderful to see you blossom and to grow and to really take back control of your stress and your emotions. And so as we get started and sharing with the audience, I'd love to hear a little bit about the challenges that you were facing before you started working with me.
Yeah, I got some feedback from coworkers that was pretty profound and consistent around being my worst enemy, getting in my own way, and specific feedback from my boss on how I would get tied up around an axle when I was talking to executives. And he suggested that I focus on finding more confidence as being part of my development plan.
Was that a big motivation to work with us, is to really find that confidence and to not get wrapped around the axle? Was that the main motivation?
I would say it's the biggest one. It's something I've struggled with forever, ever since I was a kid, really just second guessing myself. And I've gotten to a point where I fell into a rut, and I've tried multiple different things and it wasn't working. And I wanted to try something different.
What are some of the other things that you had tried in the past to get you past that rut?
Therapy, which has helped in different degrees. Medication, antidepressants specifically. I've done exercise, even meditation, and everything helped in its own way, but nothing really was enough to push me out of the rut.
Okay, so we maybe give you some temporary solutions, but it never really fixed the underlying issue. And what we find a lot of times is that when we look at traditional methods of trying to fix the rut or trying to fix confidence or any other things that we're facing, the doubt, those kind of things, that they're often band-aids that are put on the symptoms, that it's not getting to the root cause of what the challenges are. And did you find that when you were looking for solutions to your challenges?
Yeah, I mean, the medication I never felt really comfortable with because it felt, it's a chemical additive. The closest that I came was with therapy, trying to identify specific things that have happened in my past that have, led to where I am and the struggles that I have. But, like I said, none of it was enough. And I'd always end up in the same spot, the same rut that I've always been in.
There might be a lot of other people that are listening to this right now and wondering, well, I've had something similar where I would get nervous talking to other executives, or I'd get wrapped around the axle. What are some of the other challenges that you were having? Like, did you ever have challenges with sleeping or anxiety specifically, or maybe just like self-doubting, like negative internal language?
Yeah, I could say probably all of that. Anxiety has always been a major issue, and probably one of the main reasons why my boss noticed how nervous I would get in front of executives. And I think it all ties together. And self-doubt was really the crux or the core of where all of my issues stem. And it took a while on working with you to really identify that that's what was at the root of it.
Talking with you and having a title of vice president of IT, people might wonder, well, how can you be that successful in your life, but have that much self-doubt or have that much anxiety? So despite the self-doubt or the anxiety or nervousness and things like that, you still were very successful. but the self-doubt was holding you back. And so when you and I first started working together, what were some of the things that maybe you had a skeptical thought about when we first started working together?
Yeah, I mean, my role in IT and my career has been very, data driven, data centric. I'm not a very spiritual person, and I think there was a lot of spirituality and self-reflection in the beginning that I found, you know, to be, a little skeptical, maybe created a little skepticism on my part because, I don't prescribe to that specifically.
Mhm. And we talk about the four domains of physical, mental, emotional, and spiritual. And all these domains interact with each other. So if we're off physically, it'll affect us emotionally. If we're off emotionally, it can affect us spiritually or mentally or physically. So we look at how they all weave in. And so when we first started talking about the spirituality part of it, were you kind of thinking in your head, I'm not sure that this is for me?
Yeah, pretty much. I it was really just in the beginning when it was all kind of laid out, and before we started using, the biofeedback device, and where you would see the data element and how your body was reacting to what you were doing, and the breathing exercises and the green light language and everything that we've been working through. And it transcended the spiritual and was actual data that I could see, and it was working.
I think a lot of people will come into the program and they'll look at this and say, well, I do feel the anxiety and I do feel the stress, but I never could actually pinpoint it and see what was happening inside my body. And so when you got to see that data, like there were times that maybe you were feeling like you weren't too stressed, but you're looking at the biofeedback device and the biofeedback device says you're stressed out. Was that kind of an aha moment to you, to where you just said, wow, I could trick myself sometimes in my mind and think that I'm not stressed, but the data doesn't lie and my body doesn't lie? Did you ever have any thoughts about that?
Yeah, it was really, you know, you could will yourself to go so far, with just sheer will and education and hard work. But at the end of the day, you can only be so happy with what you're doing until you identify specific issues that are underlying a lot of the feelings that I had. And while I was successful, the happiness or the, self-respect that came with it was missing. So when I was working with my team and getting feedback from my team and my boss, there was a disconnect between the way I treated myself and the way I behaved and got work done. And so that's one of the reasons why I was looking for an alternative, because I was looking to do more than cover a feeling with a pill, or discover the rudimentary reasons why I might have fear or anxiety, but to actually take control of the situation and take stock of where I am, get out of my own head, so to speak, to have a kind of an impartial perspective of myself so that I can make real change.
And what are some of those changes that you've implemented? Like, what's been the result of going through this and learning the tools and the techniques?
Well, it's really, I came in, like I said, specifically for work. And, the first EC or executive committee meeting that I had after the program, multiple people came up to me and said, holy cow, Seth, you really changed. You have so much more confidence. And what did you do? So there was immediate results there. But then actually I said, well, there's more to life than work. And so we, dove deeper into what would be what's holding me back and what would make me happy. And so since then, I've been able to, identify core things or activities that I wanted to do and never had the courage to do, or always second guessed. For example, we've been working on, pilot training, something that I've always wanted to do since I was a kid. never had the courage really to do, and I couldn't articulate why either. And finally, through coherence and the techniques, I was able to just get past all of that and commit.
And when you connect to that, I mean, this is a childhood dream of being a pilot, and you're now taking actionable steps to make that happen. You've reconnected to this passion again that you had as a kid. How does that feel for you?
It was great. And it's actually even happened today. I was sat in a meeting where I run the internship program, and I have all these 20 something, year olds, men and women who are just starting out in their career. And one of the questions we had for them was, what do you want to do when you grow up? And, when it came around to me, I was like, well, I've always wanted to be a pilot. And I'm finally taking steps to be, to get my private pilot's license. And, a lot of, I saw the look in their face, like, who's this VP of IT talking about being a pilot? But, it's something I've always wanted to do, and just needed a push, not really a push, really to identify what was holding me back.
Yeah, and when we uncovered what was holding you back and you were able to see to the other side of that and realize that you're going to make a dream come true. And I think one of the biggest pieces of that is that you wanted to fly your plane to see your mom, and just to be able to connect to that and to connect to the feeling of that, and now to put it the actionable items in place. And that's the key, is because transformation happens from the inside out, not the outside in. And a big key of it is you can have a lot of these aha moments and uncover the things that have been blocking you. But if you don't take those action steps, nothing will ever shift. And so what I'm hearing you say is that you're uncovering your blocks. You've got the tools to move past your fear and anxiety, and to stay connected with your dreams and your passion, and to make it happen. And it's really beautiful.
Nicely.
Really, really beautiful. If you were to explain this to a friend, if you were talking to your best friend, like, what would you say to your friend about this kind of work that you're doing?
To me, I mean, I say this to my friends all the time, and a lot of different ways of describing the program. And, one that always comes to mind is mindfulness. And, I get a lot of eye rolls and, what are you doing? And really, I'm the first one to do that. So that's why they question me, is because I'm always the one who's the skeptic. And, when we talk about it, it's really at its foundation, it ties in all of these different techniques that come under all these different names, but there's science behind it. So it's easier for me to get on board with it, because it's not just meditation or breathing exercises or different language. It's bridging a gap between the subconscious and the conscious minds, using a tool that you could see happening in real time, which validates that it's more than just spirituality and woo-woo. Yeah.
Exactly. The data doesn't lie.
Exactly.
And Seth, how are you going to use this moving forward?
Well, I think, anxiety is something that I've always lived with, and it's something that, doesn't just go away. So having these tools at my disposal helps me manage my anxiety and take control over it. So, finding coherence has helped me in the past avoid major anxiety issues or even depression. So I think I'll hold on to those to have in my arsenal of tools to mitigate the symptoms of those. But really, at the core of it, it's getting out of my own way, and having the technique to identify when I'm my own roadblock, that there's really nothing preventing me from moving forward but me, and a mindset that can be changed once you take ownership of the mindset and understand the why and how.
Really beautifully stated. It has been an absolute pleasure to work with you and to watch you blossom, and to continue working with you, because we're still in the middle of this other course too. and to see you fulfill on your dream, your childhood dream of being a pilot, and watching you just step into that and just keep stepping into your own personal power is such a pleasure. So thank you for sharing with people. I hope that this interview has helped other people, and look forward to seeing you very soon.
Thank you, Julie. Appreciate it.
Thank you.